No major news today, so let's get straight into the data. Do me a quick favor and like and subscribe and hit the bell to help out the channel. And let's get started. So looking at the Fear and Greed Index, you can see it did step down, but that was for yesterday. I expect this to go much higher. Markets were way up, extreme greed here. Strength, still extreme greed. This continues to trend a little bit higher, so breadth going higher as well. Put call ratio, same. Volatility, still hovering in neutral. And then bonds, still in extreme greed. So still tons and tons of optimism in markets. And you could argue we're probably going to see breadth go higher into extreme greed. So headed back towards even higher levels. Let's look at the timeline. You can see we've been hovering in the same region for a very long time, significantly longer than we've seen in a while. Moving over to seasonality, you can see we were supposed to get a slight pop today. Monday's supposed to be a slight step down, Tuesday's bullish, so slightly bullish period here to start, and then we see weakness into mid-March. We'll see if that follows through. Again, markets are super bullish, but keep in mind there is a little bit of weakness in the mid-March timeframe. Moving over to the economic data, you can see CPI for the Eurozone came in way higher than expectations. Core CPI at 3.1 versus 2.9, still lower than the previous read, but much higher than expectations. Pretty interesting there. Global US manufacturing, way higher than expectations as well at 52.2, still above that 50 line. ISM manufacturing PMI not nearly as good. Manufacturing prices lower than expectations, but still above the 50 line. And then looking at the Michigan numbers, still hovering at 3% for 1 year from now and 2.9 for 5 years from now. So generally expected to stay in this region, which to me means that we'll probably see rates stay higher for longer. Still might see 1 or 2 cuts, maybe even 3 cuts this year, but I don't think we're going to see a cut down to what we saw during the COVID levels, or even really into that 2 to 3 range. We'll probably stay in the 4 to 5 range. Moving over to max pain, obviously it did not matter. All of these call strikes really didn't do much of anything. Did have a 512 call strike come in, still closed slightly above that, probably fell below it after hours, so that mattered a little bit. You can see that 500 call strike moved down a lot. Put call ratio went significantly higher. Total options went higher. We'll take a look at next week's options in the Sunday video, but this chart really has not been super relevant. And we got another top of the puts finish, so definitely bullishness going into the end of the week and probably bullishness starting off next week. Moving over to the charts, no surprises here. We went way higher on the day, ended up almost 1%. You can see we did see a little bit of weakness into the end of the session. I just attribute that to the end of the day close as well as the end of the week close. So people closing positions just to not hold them over the end of the week. But you can see bullish momentum, RSI back into overbought conditions. Didn't quite hit the trend line, so we have a trend here at 515.50. So that would be your next price target. Let's go ahead and add some levels here. So we got one here at 505.08 and 509.77. We'll see how those hold up if they become relevant. Obviously price discovery, so everything still looks super bullish, especially with that big upswing on Thursday into Friday continuation. Moving over to the Tasty charts, I do want to include these more on a regular basis. It seems like you guys like them. Let me know down in the comments if you do like them. Otherwise, looking at the daily chart here, you can see that third ATR band trading at 14.15. We ended up very close to that level and pulled back a little bit. 8 EMA sitting at 506.77. That was the area that was holding. And we saw that little spike in volume yesterday. So we expected the continuation today. Bullish momentum on the MACD here as well. Moving over to the NASDAQ, similar thesis. We had the rally yesterday, continuation here today, very strong, 1.16%, bullish momentum, bullish RSI, everything looks strong. We said it looked strong yesterday, looking for the trend, broke through that extremely quickly. Next trend resistance is all the way up at 454. I don't think we're going to get to that level. It does seem like we're starting to hit some lower highs before we get that trend. You can see here we did not hit the trend, pulled back substantially, rallied up, didn't hit the trend here again, pulled back. Now we're rallying up, so we'll see. I'll probably put a new trend line on this to see if it holds up going into next week in the Sunday video. But right now you can see we're starting to get highs that are a little bit weaker off of that trend, when previously every time we rallied up, we hit the trend, hit the trend, hit the trend. Now we're not seeing that same kind of strength. Certainly possible off of today's really powerful move that we see some kind of continuation, kind of like this here. We had a strong day, strong continuation. We ended up falling through pretty substantially. So keep in mind, certainly possible, which would give you about 10 more points of upside. And then moving over to the ATR bands here on the triple Qs. Similarly, we had hit those ATR bands several times and pulled back, basically right in line with that trend. And you can see we hit it here as well. Didn't quite get there, stopped at the second ATR band, but now we are above that second ATR band. 445.60, that ATR band is at 444.08, so we're above it on a closing basis. Next resistance would be 449.62. Moving over to the Russell and the Dow, you can see the Russell pulled back, hit the trend line, bounced from that level, ended up almost at the next one here at 206.50, up over 1%, bullish momentum, bullish RSI. So the Russell's still looking strong. Above that, I have 208.22. Everything looks good there. And then looking at the Dow, didn't really follow through with everything else. Still a bullish day, 0.35, but we didn't make a new high. We're still in this consolidation. Momentum did tick towards bullish, but very minimal. RSI ticking towards bullish a little bit. Nothing super convincing on the Dow. Moving over to Apple and Tesla, let's hit the highlights here. So we did gap down and fall. We got a new low on that wick, got all the way down to 177.38, massive wick lower. We ended up closing below the level there at 179.69. So everything looking super weak. It's falling after hours. I would expect this to break down much, much further. You can see we're below all the EMAs and SMAs, all the major support. Next support for me, 176.15, but realistically, I wouldn't expect anything to hold until that 170.90 area in these previous lows. So Apple looking very weak. Tesla, bullish day, 0.38. Momentum, not doing much of anything. Still in that same consolidation we've been in for a couple days. Still cannot get above that high from February 16th. If it breaks and holds that level, then you're looking for 214, but it just hasn't done it yet. Moving over to Amazon and Netflix. Both of these had a strong day, 0.83 and 2.72. You can see Netflix breaking above that 614 level. That was our first price target here coming off of this previous one. Took a while to get there, but it did it. Pushed right through it. Next level, 693. I believe that is all-time highs here. Zooming out. Yep, that's all-time highs. So there might be some resistance around 647, 650, kind of at this midline here. Probably add a level to that on the weekend video. But you can see strong breakout. Looks like a continuation to those upper levels. And then Amazon broke out yesterday, got the continuation, looking for 181.41. Moving over to Staples and discretionaries. Staples was positive on the day by 0.01. Momentum fading. RSI still bullish. Been in this consolidation, but you can see we broke below the trend, gapped lower, tested the trend. This looks much, much weaker now. We talked about it yesterday. We saw rotation with a bearish day and a very strong bullish day. And similarly here, another strong bullish day on discretionaries. Almost hit the price target, 185.36. The high of day was 185.29, so missed it by just a few cents. I would almost call that a tag. Momentum bullish, RSI bullish. See if we get a turning point here. Otherwise, 189.39 is my next level. Looks strong. Staples looks a little bit weaker. Moving over to breadth here, you can see the 20-day average basically did not move. We've been in that same hovering pattern for a couple of days now. I thought we might get continuation, which we did a little bit, but nothing convincing. 86.53 is that level we're looking for. Still a bullish trend. And then the 50-day average did get continuation. Almost hit the level again at 68.66. Looking to see that break up to that 55 EMA at 74.84. Then we'll see what happens at that point. Bullish momentum, bullish RSI here on the 50-day average. Moving over to yields. Yields sold off a lot today, and I'm sure this was a big driving force behind markets going much, much higher. 2-year yield almost hit 4.5, 10-year pulling right back to that 200 SMA at 4.18. We talked about that being possible yesterday. 2 bearish days started to break down. It was still in the structure yesterday, but now we are out of this consolidation on a closing basis. Momentum bearish, RSI bearish. So looks significantly weaker. You got the 55 sitting down around 4.08. We'll see if that level holds. Right now, that would be where I am looking. So yields pulling back, and I would assume bonds are rallying on that as well. Moving over to the dollar really tried to break out, couldn't do it on that first candle of the day. And then through a massive bear candle, 0.35 on that candle. Closed on the low, bearish momentum, bearish RSI. So I thought we would get continuation off of the Thursday candle. It was a strong finish, looked pretty good, held that level in a pennant, and you can see here, tried to do it, just could not. Immediately got rejected at that 144 EMA at 104.23. And like I said, bearish momentum, bearish RSI, so looking back towards that 103.64 level. Moving over to bonds, you can see J&K actually gapped down really strong and then tried to make up the ground, couldn't quite do it, finished right back in the middle of the range here at the highly traded zone. Nothing convincing there. And then TLT surprisingly gapped down massive, hit the trend lines, hit both of them actually, and then rallied up finishing positive with yields going lower. So pretty pretty interesting. I did expect this to be bullish off of the break of that trend line yesterday. I wouldn't have expected it to pull back that much, but now you can see bullish momentum, bullish RSI. You would expect at least that 200 SMA could hit the 55 at 95.66. We'll see how this looks, but this looks a lot stronger again here today, and it looked strong yesterday as well. So bullishness on TLT and yields pulling back. Moving over to my accounts, I obviously made a little bit of money. I was bullish going into the day and I ended up okay. And you can see here, IWM, I rolled out to 206 for Monday for $1.21. Made a little bit of money on that pullback, protected down to 205, 204.80 or so. Might see a little bit of a pullback. We were down at the end of the session like we saw. And then looking at the Qs, I sold a 44 call for $2.25. That was pretty deep in the money when I sold it, but I thought we would see an end of day pullback, and we did end up seeing that. We'll see how it plays out. My max profit on that position would be 446.25, so that would give me a little bit more than 50 cents on each of those contracts, or about $1 potential profit, while still giving me some protection. Everything was super bullish, so I'm not opposed to rolling up if I need to, but we might see a little bit of follow through on that down move at the end of the session. And then TQQs rolled everything up and out. Puts rolled them up, made some money there. Calls rolled them up, trying to make some money there. Give myself some opportunity going into next week. Overall, not bad on the day. Let me know down in the comments section what you think of the charts or the follow through here today. Will it continue into next week, or is this the peak? Definitely like and subscribe if you got any value out of this video, and make sure you hit the bell so you don't miss out on any future episodes. Of course, none of this is financial advice. This is all for entertainment purposes. Good luck in your trading and have a great day.